Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me. Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. Although surprisingly not covered by major newspapers and television channels, exactly a week ago on the 3rd of July, the apex organization of all the Kuki Tribes in Manipur, the Kuki Inpi, issued a proclamation with 5 decrees, which was bold in language, strong and forceful, and amounted to a declaration of war, as well as a serious parting of ways with the Meiteis. Here's the declaration. I'm going to hold it up so that each of you can see it for yourself. And it raises one fundamental question. Is this what the Kuki want? Is this their final position? Or might this just be a bargaining chip, a political ploy to strengthen their hand as negotiations begin? Joining me now to answer that question and also to talk about the details of the proclamation is the spokesperson of the Kuki Inpi, Thangminlen Kipgen. Mr. Kipgen has flown all the way from Manipur exclusively and specifically for this interview. Mr. Kipgen, I'll come to the details of this proclamation in a moment's time. But let me begin with a simple general question. As I said in the introduction, the language is bold, it's forceful, it's defiant, and the contents would be very worrying for many people. A week has passed since the proclamation was issued. My simple general question is this. Does the Kuki Inpi stand by this word for word? Or do you think you're having second thoughts?
Thank you, Karan sir, for having me here. This is the proclamation to our people, and we stand by it. We will stand by it until, until we need to, if ever the situation arises to review it, we will review it. But until then, until that time comes, this is the proclamation to our people, our community, and we will stand by it.
Okay, that's very interesting. At the moment you stand by it, but you did add until the moment comes to review it. But for today, you stand by it.
Yes.
That moment to review it has not come as yet.
Has not come.
Let's then, against that background, come to the details of the proclamation.
Okay.
As I said in the introduction, the proclamation comprises 5 decrees. I'll go through each of those decrees one by one. But the important thing is that those decrees are, and I'm quoting your proclamation, to be strictly adhered to by all the Kuki people.
Yes.
In other words, you want complete obedience from the Kuki people. Is that right?
Yes, yes. That is correct.
Let's then come to the first decree. We, the Kuki, shall under any circumstances resist and fight tooth and nail. The time has come wherein every one of us takes part according to each of our endowed capacities. Let every man get prepared from wherever you are, put on the armor, get hold of the weaponry in defense of our great nation and ancestral land. Retreat not, be strong and courageous. That sounds like a declaration of war. Is that really your intent?
It is our response to a declaration of war that was made towards the Kuki community, particularly by the Kokomi in one of their public convention.
The Kokomi, I'll explain for the audience, is the leading Meiteis organization, institution. It purports to represent all the Meiteis people. You're saying that the Kokomi made a public declaration of war against the Kukis,
Yes.
and you have decided to respond similarly.
Yes.
So,
We have decided to make our people aware that since the Kokomi have declared war upon us, this should be the kind of stance we should take.
So since the Kokomi have declared war on you, you are declaring war on the Meitei.
Not, we are, see, Kokomi has declared war on us, and we are declaring our response to that particular proclamation that they made.
But who is the war that you're declaring upon, the Kokomi or the Meitei in general?
The Kokomis represent the Meitei population.
So it's both.
So by way of that, it depends on how the Kokomi decides to take this forward.
So depending upon how the Kokomi takes it forward, the war that you're declaring in this first decree could be either on the Kokomi or on the Meitei as a community as a whole.
It would be wrong for us to declare war on a community, but the Kokomi, when they represent certain community and they speak boldly declaring a war, it is only necessary for us to respond in a likewise manner.
So for now, your target is the Kokomi. Is that right? But in fact, if you go to the second decree, your target shifts from being the Kokomi, which is an apex body of the Meitei, to the Meitei community as a whole. Because your second decree bars the Kuki from forging an alliance with Meitei. I'll read the decree. It says, no Kuki individual shall re-establish any alliance or bonds whatsoever under any circumstances. And as they have declared war upon us, it's hereby consequently proclaimed that the Meiteis are our warring enemies. In Decree 2, you broadened your target from the Kokomi to the Meitei people as a whole.
See, we have to go back a little in time. There was very strong treaties and understandings between the two communities, the Kukis and the Meiteis, 1857, 1871. So when an organization like the Kokomi, because of the proclamation and the declaration, can nullify all these past treaties in the name of their community, it is only it is very much justified on our part, that this declaration made by the Kokomi, but the result of their declaration will obviously move down to the community. This is not something which the Kuki Inpi is proclaiming. This is by dint of the Kokomi slashing all historical ties. They should take the responsibility of such a response from us.
Let me go one step further. What you're clearly saying when you say the Meitei are our warring enemies, and you also say that no one shall re-establish any alliance or bonds, what you're saying is that reconciliation between the Kuki and the Meitei is impossible. You cannot live together in harmony and peace. That's what you're really saying.
Reconciliation under the present political scenario is impossible because things have been so far divided and communalized. Reconciliation will come when we believe and when we have faith in the governance system that we are secure, that our lives are secure, our properties are secure, then we will be moving towards reconciliation. And like I said earlier, that will be when the Kuki Inpi proclamation will also need to be changed, and it will be aimed towards reconciliations.
I hear what you're saying, but just 2 days ago on the 8th of July, the Print wrote a story about a village called Kwatha. It's a Meitei village, but it's surrounded by 6 Kuki villages. Not one Meitei has left because every Meitei has been assured by the 6 surrounding Kuki villages that they are safe. They have been shown love and affection. They have accepted it on the basis of trust. That article says that the Meitei of Kwata and the 6 surrounding Kuki villages have said, we've lived together for 700 years. We will continue to live together. Why are you not prepared to follow the example of Kwata rather than tell the Kuki to not forge alliances and not create bonds? Why not follow the example of Kwata, where the Kuki are protecting the Meitei?
It is something like, Kwata is a very good example, and both communities, the Kukis and the Meiteis, we should learn something from this example. But it is just an exception to the entire situation right now. And we cannot, although we would very much like that to be generalized and that should be how the way forward should be, but that is not happening. And we have no business or we have no interest in in causing disharmony in such cases
Are you
of such
saying
examples.
that Quetta is a solitary, unitary example? It's only one example. There's no other example like that?
I haven't heard of it, sir. That is the only example I've heard of.
Even though it may be just one example, why not follow that example and try and make it spread rather than give the opposite advice, which is don't forge alliances, don't create bonds?
It is a very respectable position that the village have taken and the surrounding villages have taken, but very impractical for us to follow at the moment. Why impractical is because the Kuki Inpi believes that so long as the state machinery is unable to bring a stop to the violence and to be accountable for the missing arms and everything, my idea, their idea, one, two persons, one, two organizations sitting together and trying to move forward, it's not going to bring much. The government needs to do their part first, and then our role as Kuki Inpi will also come.
This brings me to what you said a moment ago, that reconciliation is not possible as long as the present political scenario continues. Yes. This leads me directly to your third decree, which is about separate administration. I'll read that third decree. It has been our foremost and cherished collective aspiration from today to govern and administer by ourselves under the Constitution of India. Hence, we shall collectively strive together until separate administration is realized. Begin by explaining to me, what does collectively strive together mean?
It means that right now, because of the separation, physical, social separation that we have had across all strata of the society, we are all facing problems equally. And there may be some people whose houses have been burned down who are homeless. There are others whose parents or whose children have passed away. What we are saying is that, and there are others whose houses are intact and who still get their daily income and everything. But what we are saying is that just because you may feel that the war or the present violence has reached certain families and have not reached the others, it does not mean that we behave differently. As a community, we should collectively feel the pain, collectively work on it, collectively struggle for the issue.
So collectively strive together means every Kuki will share the pain of another,
yes,
whether you've suffered pain yourself or not.
Yes, yes.
In other words, it's a call for Kuki unity,
yes,
internal unity.
Yes, solidarity, yes.
Let's then come to what you mean by separate administration. Are you talking about union territory status? Are you talking about separate statehood? Or could you accept autonomous territorial councils strengthened by the implementation of the 6th schedule of the Constitution? At the moment, the 6th schedule does not apply to Manipur. But if it were to apply to Manipur, could you then accept autonomous territorial councils, a situation that is akin to Bodoland?
It is something, this point, it is something that we also wish we were in a position to start discussing these issues now. For example, today I'm fortunate to be with Karan sir and discussing this. More and beyond that and after that, what we hope is if we can sit with the central government, they call us to discuss about this solution, it is something then that we will be working on. Now, it's not that the Kuki Inpi Manipur do not have a stand or in this separate,
Please tell me,
separate
what is your
administration.
stand? What is your stand? You must have in your mind a position that you identify separate administration. When the government talks to you, they will ask you the same question. What do you mean by separate administration? Answer that for me.
So the Kuki Inpi Manipur by ourselves as in a political solution is something that has been the talks of which have been going on with the central government and the suspension of operation groups. So the Kuki Inpi Manipur will also need to advise, will also need to discuss and have a debate with this.
But what does Kuki Inpi Manipur mean by separate administration? You must have answered that question. What does it mean? Does it mean statehood? Does it mean union territory? Does it mean autonomous territorial councils under Schedule 6? Which of the three?
See, here till now the Kuki Inpi Manipur, we haven't had a particular stand that it should be or it has to be this format of a separate administration. All that the Kuki Inpi Manipur is saying up till now is that since there is separation and it will take more than a generation for things to be normalized, status quo pre 3rd of May. So the government needs to recognize that now these people, section of the people in the hills, are without proper administration. What is the kind of administration that they need to provide to us so that we can look forward?
But you're saying something very important, and I think this is very different to what I've heard from people like Wilson Lalam Hangching or what I've heard from Mary Grace Joe. You're saying to me, you want separate administration, but Kuki Inpi has not itself decided what separate administration means. It could be statehood, it could be union territory, it could be autonomous territorial council. Which of the three will be determined when you talk to the central government? In other words, all three are theoretically acceptable.
Along the lines of those, I, as a spokesperson of the Kuki Inpi Manipur, I am not aware if the Kuki Inpi Manipur has still today taken a stand that this has to be the particular kind of separate administration. But I am sure that because we have our own domain even within the Kuki Inpi, so I am sure they have their own ideas and setups on which particular kind of separate administration to demand for.
But Mr. Kipgen, I'm interrupting you because which of the two things are you saying? You began by saying that as a spokesperson you're not aware that the Kuki Inpi have taken a stand on what separate administration precisely means. But then you said after that it's quite possible other people within Kuki Inpi have already decided what it means.
No,
which of the two?
No, I'm saying...
Are you aware or are you not aware?
No, I am aware that the Kuki Inpi Manipur is keeping these options open. Statehood, union territory, autonomous territorial council, we are keeping these options open. But we are not adamant as of now that this has to be the particular stand taken. In fact, we keep it as a prerogative of the central government
to decide
and to offer.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is very important. All three are theoretically acceptable to you, and you're leaving it open for the central government to decide which of the three will be chosen.
I wouldn't say all three are theoretically acceptable. All I'm saying is that we consider them as options, and when the time comes to discuss with the central government, there we will need to tweak. There will be many things to tweak around, and so.
Let me put to you what could be the response of the central government. Officially, we do not know what the centre thinks about and feels about your demand for separate administration. Neither the Prime Minister nor the Home Minister nor any other minister in the Modi government has spoken about it. But Biren Singh and BJP MLAs who met the Home Minister have said, or rather they've claimed, that the Home Minister has assured them that Manipur will be retained intact. If that is correct, then that suggests that union territory status and statehood are ruled out. Do you accept that?
As per what they are saying, that is the picture that they are presenting. But we do not believe that the central government, would be so blunt to just declare that, because they are yet to speak to us also. They haven't heard our side of the story as in this particular demand for separate administration. We haven't had the opportunity to discuss with them. When they discuss this issue with us, I'm sure we'll have something different to declare like
Have you made this proclamation available to the central government? Have you sent it to them?
That I am not aware, sir. I am personally not aware if it has been passed on to the central government.
Has the Kuki Inpi written a letter to the Home Minister or the Prime Minister to say we want to come and discuss the form of separate administration with you? Have you explained to them a letter why you think separate administration is necessary? Have you taken that step?
I don't know if they've formally gone. Sir, the thing is that it may sound like the Kuki Inpi Manipur does not have collective decision. It's nothing like that. Actually what happens is that after this separation and after all this confusion in Manipur, now my president, he is in Churachandpur at the moment. Few days ago he was in Delhi. Before that he was with me in Kangpokpi. So we do not have the luxury of time and space to keep discussing, to keep updating ourselves with this, with everything.
I was simply asking whether the government is aware, A, of your demands, and B, whether you've made it clear that you want to sit and talk to them. You're not sure that's happened as yet?
We have made it clear to the government that we want a separate administration, but beyond that, the details of which I am not aware as yet whether if we have put it up, sir.
Let's then come, Mr. Kipgen, to the fourth decree in that proclamation. This time, it's directed to the Kuki people themselves. It says, strict order is being issued to those who, in their bid to survive, escaped to other states in the country by deserting their houses, villages, to return without any further delay. And no chief shall leave or desert their respective villages. First of all, India is a free country, and people have a right to leave their homes and villages and go anywhere else in the country that they want, particularly if they're actually fleeing to save their lives. So how can you order them to return? They're individuals. They have a right to go where they want.
So because what they are forgetting is that our community, if you look at us population wise, if you look at our social stand in the society, we are a culturally knit society. We depend on the social bonding, people from the Kuki community, and it is in times of crisis like this that we want them to be with us in solidarity, to work with us in whatever capacity that they can. That is why it has become necessary for us to call for them, to ask for them to come back and be with us during this crisis and help each other out.
Except that the way you explain it now is soft, sympathetic, and gentle language. The way you've written it in the proclamation, it's harsh and hard. Strict order is being issued to those who, in their bid to survive, escaped to other states by deserting their houses and villages. That's not very sympathetic and kind language.
I understand. Actually, Kuki Inpi. Kuki Inpi is means the house of the chief. Now, culturally, traditionally, the chief, whenever he makes a decree or an order, he passes an order in the village, it is never soft. It cannot be soft-spoken. So, Kuki Inpi needs these kind of strong words when it has to make a proclamation.
So, this is the traditional language Kuki Inpi chiefs use?
Yes, this is a translation of the traditional style of passing on a message.
So, if it looks harsh to people like me, that's because I'm not aware of the traditions and the traditional language that the Kuki chiefs use.
Yes.
Let me put a practical problem to you. Many people who lost their homes and fled may not have homes to return to. Those homes have been looted, they may have been damaged, they may have been destroyed. Where will these people live when they come back, if they come back?
Until they come back, we're not in a position to discuss. Once they come back, the thing is that, I do not want to mention in details, but we have had some similar kind of a situation back in the 1990s. Now there we shared our lands.
With the Nagas?
Yeah, and there the Kuki chiefs, for example, one village which was burned down elsewhere, a different Kuki chief gave part of his land for him to establish his new village. They are bringing back that same village name in that area. Now these people whose villages, whose houses have been burned down, until they return, there is no way for us to work out a solution as to where to put these displaced persons. That is why we're asking them to come back.
But you're also saying, because you quoted that example from the 90s, that just as Kuki chiefs accommodated other villages which had burned down, similarly Kuki chiefs will now accommodate people who've had to flee when they come back.
Yes.
So you're inviting people back or ordering people back on the promise that we will accommodate you.
Yes, we will accommodate them.
Let me ask you this. According to newspapers, some 12 or 13,000 Kuki have sought shelter and security in neighboring Mizoram. What sort of life can you guarantee them if they return? Because that's a question they'll ask themselves.
We guarantee them the kind of life that will be better for them taking refuge and shelter somewhere else. It is always better for you to be back in your own land and there find a way to make a living. Instead of living off the charity and donation of somebody else.
In other words, don't be refugees, come back to your country.
Yes, don't be refugees. Come back to your land.
What will you do if they don't return?
Difficult question. I don't know how to answer that, but it is their prerogative. They need to think that their people needs them, that the society wants them back. If they don't come back, it will be difficult.
You know, you said it's their prerogative, but actually the fifth decree, and I'm coming to the fifth decree now, has a clear threat if they don't return. This is what the fifth decree says. Whosoever violates this decree shall be construed as antagonistic and defiant to the national orders and shall be deemed to have been self-alienated from the Kuki nation. What does self-alienated from the Kuki nation mean? Are you threatening some sort of excommunication?
See, like the previous point, it sounds very harsh, very crude, very rude, but this is the language that the chief would speak. The chiefs, village chiefs, the Kuki chief has the authority to excommunicate a fellow villager if, for charges such as murder or for continued theft. There are various degrees, and accordingly people are excommunicated from the village. So likewise, Kuki Inpi has the authority to state, and they can direct any village chief so that whosoever villagers do not return, the chief should excommunicate such people who do not wish to protect and to cater to the land that they have been allocated.
I can understand this sort of excommunication being done to people who are thieves, who have murdered. Those are very serious, heinous crimes.
Even more
But
serious.
we're talking about people who fled out of fear to save their lives. If they're scared to come back, you're prepared to excommunicate them?
It's not. We're not putting it that way. All we are saying is that more than theft, it is something that in the present situation, when they had to initially leave their villages whose houses were being burned down, we understand that they have taken a refuge somewhere. But now the Kuki Inpi is putting things into place, is making arrangements for them, be it in terms of livelihood, in terms of housing, shelter, that for them to come back and to return. But even in spite of such provisions, if they still do not wish to come back, we would consider this kind of attitude from on their part to be something of very grievous, which would justify them being excommunicated, because it is something that they're not feeling the pain of what their fellow men are feeling, that they are not contributing to the present struggle, that they are there relaxing somewhere else. So they deserve to be excommunicated in such kind of a scenario.
Let's take the example of the 6 Kuki villages surrounding Kwata. Those 6 Kuki villages are protecting the Meitei of Kwata, they are helping them, they are showing love and affection. Your second decree says clearly such alliances and bonds must stop. If they don't stop, what will happen to those 6 Kuki villages? Will they be excommunicated because they will have defied you?
See, the thing is, like I mentioned before, the example of Kwata village is something, an understanding among the neighboring villages out of humanness. It's a humanitarian thing to do. It's nothing political. So for such an isolated incident, I don't think we need to get into that kind of response. It is nothing political.
Let me ask you this. The letterhead of the Kuki Inpi organization, and I'll hold it up over here, it says quite clearly that you are the apex body of the Kuki tribes. Explain to the audience who don't understand Kuki traditions, Kuki structures, what makes you so influential and powerful over the Kuki people? Where does that power and influence come from?
The Kuki Inpi draws its legitimacy from the institution of chieftainship that traditionally our society have had, where the chief is the final in matters of the village, and this is an adaptation of that chieftainship, and that is where it draws its power from. And all the Kuki chiefs support and adhere to to what the Kuki Inpi
So this
decide.
is traditional power that the Kuki Inpi has over all Kuki people, all over Kuki tribes.
Yes, yes.
How confident are you that Kuki tribes that come under the umbrella organization of the United People's Front, it's known as UPF, or the Kuki National Organization, it's known as KNU, how confident are you that Kuki tribes that come under the umbrella of these two will A, accept your proclamation, and B, adhere to your decrees?
No, see, the KNO and the UPF, they are an organization. They are the armed organizations under suspension of operation, and us, the Kuki Inpi Manipur, it is a political social organization. So there should be nothing that should keep them defiant of the Kuki Inpi. I'm not really understanding your question.
You're confident that they will not defy your decree. You're confident that they will accept your decree and proclamation.
Yes, yes. That should be the way, because but like I mentioned earlier, the final solution regarding separate administration, there we have to, the Kuki Inpi Manipur has to also take into account what the KNO and UPF have been discussing with the central government thus far, and what it is that they wish to move
on that particular
forward to.
point, it's fairly well known that the suspension of operational tribes or institutions have been discussing with the Modi government before the 3rd of May,
Yes.
some form of autonomous territorial councils, perhaps with Section 6 of the Indian Constitution implemented. That is what they came close towards agreeing on. If that were to be revived, once again these people would have to be consulted. Kuki Inpi would not take a decision or a stand on its own, it would consult these people again.
And it's not the same now, because the kind of demand or the kind of solution that they were supposed to have, or let's say about to have at that point of time, may not be applicable or suitable to us right now.
That I understand, because a lot has happened in the last 70 days. But whatever stand is taken by the Kuki Inpi will be taken after consulting the UPF and the KNO as well.
Yes, the consultation has to come from both sides.
Together.
Yes, yes.
Let me ask you this. It's quite possible many people in government will be watching this interview. Many people in government are certainly interested in the details and understanding of that proclamation. If in response the central government were to dismiss Biren Singh, impose president's rule, and then say, come and talk to us, let's sort out things together, how would the Kuki Inpi respond?
It's something which we are looking forward to. I mean, we would be happy to such an invitation once the president's rule is there and some sort of normalcy in the sense that violence goes down. Then yes, why not?
Let me put an alternative to you. Suppose president's rule is not imposed. Suppose Biren Singh continues as chief minister, but Biren Singh is the man who reaches out to you and says, come and talk to me. Will you be prepared to talk to Biren Singh, or are you adamant that he must be removed?
Now this is something which you are asking me, and I'll have to respond in my capacity, my opinion, my thought. Me as a person, I may have certain way of dealing with that, but it's difficult right now, because although it seems like the very correct thing to respond positively to such an invitation from CM N. Biren Singh, if it so happens, but the thing is difficult. Why? Because I also need to look into the sentiments of my people, the population. Their stand and their demand is that so long as Biren controls the power in Manipur, we are not ready to discuss any peace negotiations. So I'll have to stand with
You're
what
not
the
giving
people
me,
feel.
I understand, a conclusive answer. You're speaking for yourself as an individual, not for the Kuki Inpi. But what you're saying is that dealing with Biren Singh, if he continues as chief minister, could be difficult emotionally,
Yes.
because of the way people view him.
Yes, yes,
It will be a lot easier if Biren Singh is removed.
yes, yes,
Is that right?
yes. The path to normalcy will be much easier without him in the picture.
So Biren Singh is an obstacle.
Yes, he is an obstacle to the peace process, because that is the common emotion of the Kuki community.
3 Kuki leaders who have given me interviews have run into trouble with the courts. Different Meitei organizations or individuals have brought court cases against them in Imphal. They are Mary Grace Zo, Wilson Lalam Hangshing, Professor Khan Khwam Swan Housing. Some of the things you said today, some of the things that are contained in this proclamation which we've discussed today are a lot stronger than anything those 3 said. Are you worried that you or the Kuki Inpi as an organization could also end up facing court cases?
People do things when they can do it, and on my part, I am saying things that I should be saying as a representative of the Kuki Inpi Manipur, as a spokesperson, and I'm saying things that I should be passing on to my people. But I also believe that over and above those magistrates who make this kind of summons, there is also higher authorities. The Supreme Court knows. I have the Supreme Court with me in the sense that anything unfair comes to me, there is a legal system, justice system. I believe in the system, and all that we have been talking about, discussing so far, is well within the ambit of the Indian Constitution.
So you're not scared of people bringing court cases because of something you've said in the interview today or something that's in that proclamation? You're not scared of that?
No, that is not a factor. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, sir.
My last question. In answer to my first question, when I said, do you stand by this? You said, yes, I do. We stand by it completely. But you added, the time to review has not come. If you get a sympathetic, understanding response from the government, I mean the central government, will you then be really willing to review some of the things here? And I'll tell you why I ask. Because some of the things here will worry a lot of people. The talk of war, the talk of separation from the Meitei, those will worry fellow Indian citizens. So if you get the right response, will you be prepared to review some of these things?
Of course. You see, the Kuki community, we don't hold on to the past. Once there is a solution, we want things to be normalized. It's not like we have declared perpetual enemies of a particular community. It is what the situation right now, for political reasons and for reasons of safety and security, we are bound to make such kind of a proclamation. But this will be changed once the situation changes.
You're saying something very important, and I'm repeating it. If the situation changes, if you get the right response, you are prepared to forgive and forget,
Yes.
and put the past behind you.
Yes, yes,
You are prepared to forgive the Meitei as well.
yes. Very much. It is part of what we have been taught as a Christian, and it is our belief. It is the kind of lesson that that Jesus has taught us, and it's not something we would be lingering on with. This is a political situation. It will get over. There's not going to be permanent hate in us. But yes, it will take time. It will take 2-3 generations, maybe 1-2 generations. But it is something that
During that time, is separate administration essential, or could you also reconsider and say, we'll stay united?
we wish we could say that, but it's very difficult to believe that such a thing can actually take place.
It's easier to forgive and forget and reconcile if you're separate.
Yes, exactly. That's my point. That is what we need, sir.
You may not be able to live happily together, but you can live happily as neighbors.
Yes, as neighbors. We can be very loving neighbors.
On that note, which is positive, thank you very much for coming all the way from Manipur for this interview.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very grateful to you.
Thank you, Karan, sir.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.